hot gals dating fat guys. So you've all seen something like this, right? Where it's a fat older dude with a hot gal. It's very simply explained. Women prioritize resources in men, especially over a long-term basis. And men don't. Men prioritize beauty, because when men look at women, they're looking at somebody that has hips, that can childbear, that's beautiful, that's youthful, that's fertile, things like that. The optics of beauty are more important than success and wealth. Whereas for women, he's not carrying the child for 9 months. Dudes don't do that. I know that we live in a new age woke world where there's new narratives that are being sold, and they want people drunk on that Kool-Aid. And you guys can figure that out for yourselves. Hopefully you do. Shouldn't have to be explained to you, but men are success objects. They always have been, and they always will be, and that's just the way it happens to be. And I don't see that changing anytime soon. So when it comes to hot women dating less than ideal men, or guys that are viewed upon as less than ideal by the average Joe out there, it's because they're loaded. They're the president of Formula One. They're a CEO of something or other. They've got multiple boats and planes and stuff like this. I've actually got a video. I had to watch the edit the other day because my editor sent it over to me with a new thumbnail. So I always watch them through before they get published on the Entrepreneurs in Cars channel. And if you don't know who Sadia Khan is, there's a clip that's going to be inserted into that one. She's this Pakistani lady with an English accent that's been doing the podcast rounds. And there's a clip that she's been made famous for about talking about how rich, wealthy guys get cheated on more than average dudes, which is also interesting. And there's some dynamics that are missing in that. I mean, it's great to make the statement, but to fill in the holes and explain why it happens is what I tend to like doing. And you'll see that come out probably maybe tomorrow or on, let's just say Wednesday or Thursday this week, but you'll see it this week for sure, explain in greater detail. So I want to move on to the more disabled sort of stuff. So let me just pull this out of the screen, remove. There's this dynamic which I find interesting, and I first came across it myself personally. I don't know, it was December of 2010, I think it was. I'm sort of scrolling down here on my Facebook photos because I have a image from the event. I was in Costa Rica at this gig, and there's this guy, Sean Stevenson. I've talked about him before. Here he is. I've talked about him before. Let me share that up on the screen. Stop screen and share. Is that it? There it is. So here, I'll just go blur your screen so you can see it. So this dude over here, I've had him on a podcast on my channel. Yes, that's me, younger fella without a beard, of course. I've had him on a podcast on my channel. He died a couple of years ago. I think he fell out of his chair or something, but either way, he made it to 40. He wasn't expected to live that long. He was about 3 feet tall. He got lots and lots of media coverage for what he did. He was a clinical psychologist and very well-spoken dude. And there's a picture of his girlfriend here somewhere. Here it is. This is her over here, I think. She's not a big chick, so she's not tall, but she's not I think what's classified as a midget. I think you have to be under like three or 4 feet or something like that. She's probably about 4'8". She wasn't a tall woman, but a pretty girl, right? And they were a couple, and some people might have thought, well, that's unusual. Why does that happen? How did that happen? Sort of thing. And it just happened to happen. I think because the guy was so successful. Sean Stevenson, he had some degenerative bone disease that would essentially, his bones would break for no reason. He would sneeze, he would roll over the wrong way when he was sleeping, something like that. But you definitely have to go back to the Playing the Wood podcast I did with Sean. He's an amazing dude, has such great insight. It's one of my favorite podcasts that I've ever done. So just go to Entrepreneurs in Cars and put Entrepreneurs in Cars, Sean Stevenson, and it'll pop up. It's one of the last interviews he did before he had his accident and passed. Okay, so 4'8" and under apparently is considered a dwarf. So I think Mindy is definitely under 5 foot, but she wasn't considered, like, she didn't have dwarfism, like the category of. Let me put her up on the screen over here so you can get a closer look at Sean's ex, because I think they got married too, if I'm not mistaken. So this is her over here, cute girl. this is them together, I guess, after they had gotten married. And some people might question, okay, well, he's less than ideal, or whatever it happened to be. But they were very closely related. They were very closely aligned. It was legit. Like when I saw them in person, and I'm stating this because I met them and I spent several days around them at that conference. It was legit. She looked up to him. She saw him as the best that she could do. And to be honest with you, I think it was three or 4 years ago now that he passed. It was definitely before 2019. It was definitely before the whole scamdemic thing. And she has, from what I can see on her social media, she hasn't replaced him. Okay. I don't see any other dude there. I don't see any other dating pictures, no new relationships or anything like that. It's just old pictures of her and him. So she's a widow. So it can legit happen. Now, the Squirmy and Grubs one I found interesting. Now, if you don't know who Squirmy and Grubs is, I'll throw up the YouTube channel here. Some people may not have heard of them. Been asked a lot about this couple here. He's disabled. I'm not sure what his issue is, but he's a small guy. It's not Sean's disease. He doesn't have broken bones, it doesn't look like. But she is objectively a very attractive woman. Their most recent videos are talking about doing IVF. Our final IVF results is this one. They do Q&A segments. That's sort of like the podcast sort of version of their show. It doesn't look like they do vlogs anymore. It seemed like they were big about doing vlogs, but it's like back and forth stuff like this. So these are the most recent videos on the feed. You see them sitting down in these chairs with microphones, just shooting the shit sort of thing. And let me throw up their Instagram so you can get a little more of a visual of their day-to-day lives. Present, share screen. Her name's Hannah. And it looks like she's now married because she's taken on his last name. His last name is Burkaw. And this is her feed. It's mostly them together, right? With the exception of this one bikini picture over here where it's just her. But like you can see, she's objectively a very attractive woman. So guys have been asking me questions like, why do you think this is going down? Like, what's going on here with the dynamic, Rich? Like, what's up? I have questions about this one. Sean and Mindy, I didn't. It was obvious to me anyway that it was legit, and it seems obvious in hindsight since she's been widowed and she hasn't taken on a new guy in her life, and she's continued sort of on his mission. And whenever you see a video with her talking about it, she fondly reminisces about him and obviously has a place in her heart for this guy. This one, honestly, I don't know. I really don't know. The strange thing about the whole situation here with Hannah Burkaw and where's Shane's Graham here? Let me put that up as well so you can see that one. So the strange thing about this one is this guy has managed to pull a hot chick. Like I said, she's objectively attractive as a woman would go. I don't think many guys would argue, be like, oh, she's gross. I think the vast majority of guys would just look at that and be like, she's pretty hot. Like if you saw her on a dating app, you'd probably swipe right. I don't know that guys in a condition like this would get the same reaction from women on a dating app. But this dude over here has managed to pull not one hot women, but three, from what I could find. Objectively attractive women, all very similar looking. Now, when you start sort of going through, yeah, lost in the chat, average pressure fit watcher, she's a 4. Yeah, exactly. But when you start going through some of the videos that you find online talking about this couple, they're not really, me too, actually. They're not found out in a positive light. It seems like most of the stuff that you see from other channels on them, it's like exposed, scam, it's all a game. And then they start going through interviews, which is what typically happens on YouTube, because now you have a public life and they can go through all your older videos and stuff. And they're like, oh, he said this about this girlfriend and then this about this girlfriend. And they said that they didn't do it for views or YouTube or the money, but here's a YouTube channel and talk of money prior to this conversation. So some things don't line up. If this is fake, this has got to be one of the biggest scams on YouTube right now, on social media, in that space. if it's fake, because like if it's fake, they're doing a really good job. Like they've gotten to the point where they've gotten married. They've been making videos for years. They're going through IVF right now. Again, you know, this is the gal over here. She's objectively what you would call very attractive, right? And she's, you know, like this is her job. She pours a glass for herself and she, you know, she gives it to this guy over here. You know, awesome. You know, we're on looks like a flight somewhere. You know, they're doing real well together, you know, as far as this Squirmy Grubs project and getting attention and podcasts and views and interviews and all this. Look at all the shit they put on his buggy. And she's okay. Well, that's a little bit interesting. Just watch for it at the end. The last video slide. She's skipping along with her bag and all of the shit's on his buggy. Yeah. Okay. That starts to raise some questions. I mean, look, if you had to place a bet, most guys that would see something like this, you know, they would be like, okay, that's a game. You know, like they're probably the kind of people that would bet the farm and be like, let's see, you know, what happens when the truth is revealed, because light is going to disinfect everything over time. You know, one of the things I learned from lawyers, you know, dealing with lawsuits and anything in business is they've always told me the truth always has a way of revealing itself to you as time goes on. If, again, this is a scam and it's a play, it is one of the best ones I've ever seen. I honestly can't tell you the truth. It's very, very confusing. I really hope you guys enjoyed that clip. If you want to watch the full-length podcast, you can find that over here, that clip's from. If you're newer to the channel, make sure you hit subscribe over here. And pinned down below in the top comment, you'll find a bunch of useful links to my website, my supplement line, books, and a bunch of other stuff. Have an amazing day. Peace out.